Hi, my name is Chris Cotton, and I'm the president of the Friends of Fort Negley Park. We'd like to welcome you to the 9th annual Memorial Day ceremony here at the park. It's a little different this year, as are most things these days. But we'd like to welcome you, and we're glad you're with us. Today I'd like to thank two people who will be speaking to you today, who are both great friends of Fort Negley Park. First, Mayor John Cooper, who's been our friend as a private citizen, as a council member, and now as mayor. We thank him for his advocacy and his support of Fort Negley and his leadership of the city. And secondly, Dennis Boggs. If you've ever been to any event here at Fort Negley, you've probably seen Dennis, although he may have been dressed as Abraham Lincoln. Today he addresses you as a friend and as a historian, and we really appreciate, Dennis, your support of the park. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you again here all together at the park soon. Be safe and God bless.
Hello, I'm John Cooper, Mayor of Nashville and Davidson County. It is an honor and a privilege to speak to you today as part of the 9th annual Memorial Day ceremony here at Fort Negley Park. Now, this address is being delivered by video recording, and I hope it finds everyone in good health. And I look forward to being able to safely join you in person as we enjoy the beautiful vistas surrounding Fort Negley Park on the other side of this historic challenge. Now, back in May of 1863, Fort Negley, recently built on top of St. Cloud Hill, overlooked a new city, one then enduring turbulent and uncertain times. Nashville was the first Southern capital occupied by Union soldiers during the Civil War, and daily life was completely disrupted. Having emerged as a major commercial city both by river and rail, Nashville's local economy then ground to a halt. The threat of disease was ever present in those times also, and supplies were scarce. Now today we are also enduring an uncertain time, but on this Memorial Day, we look to our city's history to help guide us through the days ahead. Now, during the Civil War, enslaved people from all over the South fled to Nashville to seek protection and freedom. And they worked and fought side by side with Union troops to build this fort, coming together to stand up for what was right and to secure a better future for themselves and for their families. Now, years later, Nashville's economy was devastated during the Great Depression, and the Works Project Administration, the WPA, employed residents to complete a massive reconstruction of the fort using the talents of out-of-work but determined workers. And when Fort Negley Park was threatened with development in 2017, residents from all different backgrounds stood together to protect this unique Nashville treasure, this bulwark of freedom that stands high above our community, reminding us what can be achieved when we stand united for a higher purpose. The common thread running through these historical events is a people coming together to achieve a common goal. And as Nashvillians respond to the coronavirus, we look to the history of this place to remind us that through solidarity, we can overcome challenge. On this Memorial Day, we are thankful for all who worked and fought for our city and our country. We remember and honor their service and their sacrifice, and we do so by coming together in difficult times, to stand together, shoulder to shoulder, as we have in the past, to overcome any obstacle before us. Now, Fort Negley has always been an important place to me and my family, whether we're having a family picture taken here or walking our dogs up to the best views in the city. It has always been and continues to be a place of quiet reflection and rejuvenation. And thank you, Krista Castillo and the staff of the Fort Negley Visitor Center, as well as to the Friends of Fort Negley, for inviting me to speak today. I'm grateful to Director Monique Odom and all the staff at Metro Parks for their dedication to providing beautiful green space for everyone to enjoy. And finally, I thank all Nashvillians for the way you've come together in this time of crisis. Please be well and stay safe.
Welcome to Fort Negley's 2020 Memorial Day program. My name is Dennis Boggs. This is my friend Bill Radcliffe, who, by the way, first brought me to Fort Negley more than 20 years ago. Now, many of you who have seen us before at Fort Negley may remember me as representing a former president, and Bill as representing a member of the 13th United States Colored Troops. But today, we've left our historical personas behind so that we might celebrate Memorial Day with you as citizens of Tennessee. Every year, someone asks the question, what is Memorial Day? Why is it so important that we recognize it? Well, Memorial Day, which was originally called Decoration Day, was a day set aside to honor all of those military personnel who died while serving in all branches of the armed forces. The origins of Memorial Day go back to the 1860s, when our nation was tearing itself apart in a bloody civil war, which took the lives of hundreds and thousands of Americans. Now, many different states and many different people claim to have originated this tradition of Memorial Day. But today, I don't think it really makes a difference about who or where this Memorial Day tradition began. I like to think that what is really important is that we continue to recognize the thousands of men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice so we might live in a nation that knows more freedom, more liberty, and more independence than any other nation on the face of the earth. We stand here today on the grounds of Fort Negley, a fort which was constructed by the labor of thousands of free and enslaved African Americans, many who lost their lives from disease and exposure. And it's because of these African Americans who built Fort Negley and the United States Colored Troops who fought and died during the Battle of Nashville that for this Memorial Day, I would like to speak about what is one of the earliest, if not the earliest, Memorial Day ceremony in the history of our country, which, like Fort Negley until recent years, was all but erased from the pages of history. The ceremony took place in Charleston, South Carolina in April of 1865, just days after the Confederacy surrendered. And it was organized by a group of freed slaves. You see, there was in Charleston at the time the very affluent Washington Race Course and Jockey Club, where all of the Southern elite gathered to watch the races and socialize in the glamorous surroundings, all the while being waited on hand and foot by slaves. Late in the war, the Confederate Army transformed the formerly plush country club into a makeshift prison for Union soldiers. Hundreds of Union prisoners died from exposure and disease while being held in the center of the racetrack. Their bodies were buried in a mass grave behind the racetrack's grandstand. When the Confederate soldiers evacuated Charleston, one of the first things that the freed slaves did was give those Union soldiers a proper burial. They exhumed the mass grave, reburied the soldiers in a new cemetery with a tall whitewashed fence and a sign that read, "Martyrs of the Racecourse." Then on May the 1st, 1865, something even more extraordinary happened. A crowd of more than 10,000 people, mostly freed slaves, staged an event and a parade around the racetrack. 3,000 black school children carried flowers and sang songs, while members of the famed 54th Massachusetts and other black Union regiments performed double-time marches around the racetrack. The event was reported in all the newspapers across the North, and even in the city of Charleston itself. Sadly, once the war was over and Charleston was rebuilt, the city's white residents had little interest in remembering an event held by former slaves to celebrate Union dead. This did not fit their version of what the war was all about. In time, the old track was torn down, the Union soldiers' graves removed, and another page of African American history was forgotten. But not anymore. Not anymore. Today we remember that event, and we remember those thousands of former slaves in Charleston, South Carolina, just like we remember the slaves that built Fort Negley. Because today we refuse to forget the past, but insist on learning from it. So on this Memorial Day, let us pledge never to forget all of those who came before and paid the price for our freedom. Let us also remember those brave men and women of the armed forces who are even now pledging their lives, both here and abroad, that we can continue to live in one of the freest countries on earth. And in closing, during this unprecedented time which we and the people all over the world find ourselves, we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to put all of our social, political, religious, and racial differences aside. We have an opportunity to come together not only as one nation, but as one world. We have the opportunity to remember that all history, good or bad, should never be forgotten or erased. And may we always remember that God has truly blessed America. Now, friends, from myself, Bill Radcliffe, and all the staff here at Fort Negley, we bid you an affectionate farewell.